Hello, Maverick traders. Welcome out to your market roundup, April 8th. Corey here with you. We always take a look at broad markets and meaningful news. We look at sector rotations, and then we're going to highlight our very best ideas, be that up, down, or sideways.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
So a really quiet day on Wall Street. You can see here Dow, S&P, Nasdaq completely flat. Really no movement whatsoever. Russell was slightly higher, up 0.5%. Oil flat. Gold up about 0.5% as well. So equities are in this kind of holding pattern. We've consolidated. The QQQ's really been sideways for the last month. The S&P's been sideways for the past 3 weeks or so. Commodities have certainly outperformed. If you look at a chart of oil or gold, they're much more vertical, much more upward trending of late. Advanced decline line, about 60% of stocks went up today, but it was a flat market. The 50 period moving average has given a little ground of late. Now there's 60% of stocks above the 50 MA, so that's slowly dwindling. We're getting a little bit of less breadth, fewer stocks still in that upward phase. Now as we look at the S&P, few things that happened last week. We had the jobs number that kind of helped recover some of the big decline. This was an ugly reversal. You gapped higher, you sold off and finished on the lows, and then the jobs number, well, markets cheered that on a little bit. But again, we're still in this consolidative pattern, and for the first time in a very long time, we're no longer making just every swing low being higher than the one before. That has changed, and it changed right in there where we took out a little minor pivot. Now it's minor, it's nothing too major. It doesn't suggest that we have to go down, but it does signal that there is just a little bit more weakness of late than what we had been seeing. Again, the Nasdaq, look, we haven't gone anywhere since early March, since the end of February, really, that we came up through February. Since March, which is over a month, we have done nothing but mark sideways. Now, that's pretty good. That's pretty solid when you think about how far we've come. We've had an incredible run, and so for there to be a lack of profit taking, a lack of selling, and for us to just base, well, one could look at that as cup half full, certainly in the event that, well, a big base after a run higher, well, those often leave to the upside. The markets, there was news today, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon saying AI has every possibility of being as big as the internet and this and that, so it doesn't even matter so much about what AI can do as to what people think it might be able to do from an investor perspective. We could bubble in a big way, whether AI delivers or not, just if people believe that. So certainly that's been a driver for market gains over the past while, and it could continue to lead us a bit higher still. As we look at the rest of today, Tesla certainly a big bounce back day. It had been left for dead, up 5%, as you can see, but everything else kind of a mixed bag. I mean, there's a little bit of strength there in a utility name, but otherwise there's just not a lot to see. It's just a mixed picture. I would say financials a little stronger overall. There's a little more green there. Energy for the first time in a while, kind of taking a breather. Healthcare certainly a little bit more in the red as well. So as we look at markets, I mean, there's no real change. Today didn't change anything from the weekend trading room. Nothing much to add on that front. Now, as we look at possible trades, RCL is a stock that I've had in the neutral list for the past couple of weeks, and all good things come to an end. It's probably time to start looking elsewhere for new trades on the neutral. But if we're looking for bullish or bearish, I'm going to highlight a few. here today. So Bank of America financials just performing better than most other things, and they're about to report earnings. Financial companies kick off earnings. You're going to see that when we get to the calendar, but Bank of America has based and broken out, and now we have based again, and I suspect we may break higher yet again. So Bank of America looks pretty good. It doesn't report until early next week on earnings, but be aware there is an earnings report. Interesting chart there. I mentioned PayPal last week. We talked about this cup and handle, and we even priced it out, and I think the pricing was like 64.40 or something like that. Well, look at where it pulled back to, right at that 64 range. Was it perfectly the bottom? Pretty much. The day it touched that was the bottom candle. So this is the cup, this is the handle, and there's still plenty of room here because this should not only go up to 68, it should at least temporarily break out above that. So if you followed the idea, you could have been a buyer at the best possible spot. If not, there's still some room for PayPal to work its way higher. And at this point, you have even more confirmation that this pattern is playing out. The pattern that we thought was going to progress certainly seems to be. On the bearish side, I'm looking at Amgen, and this one has broken a level of support. I mentioned the relative weakness in the healthcare sector today, and I suspect that Amgen looks like it may want to test new lows. Now, there's not that many stocks that are making new multi-month lows. Amgen happens to be one of them, and that's not a positive, that's a negative. Again, we would trust that relative weakness, the suggestion that there's probably, where there's smoke, there's fire, there's probably more selling to come as we're taking out those pivot lows. So markets are certainly waiting on the CPI. That's a big number that comes out Wednesday morning, and you are very likely to see the broad markets gap up or down on that inflation news. As I said, earnings season starts this week. We've got Delta Airlines, but it's really the financials, Citigroup, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, reporting on Friday that most look at as kind of the start of the earnings season. So for the next few weeks, be prepared. This is kind of your last light week, and then the coming weeks, we're just loaded with the who's who of corporations reporting earnings and possible big moves on those reports. Hope you enjoyed today's market roundup. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next time.